I hosted my own tournament to see who was the best trio in NA heading into FNCS, and it got very spicy. We had Poyo's team bringing it home as Peterbot didn't play. Ritual making a statement saying that Peterbot will not be playing at all until FNCS. I also want to talk about Clix's accusations of Reet and Muzz's teams teaming. We have the new insane debate going on about surge trading. Clix's team playing very, very aggressively, almost winning the whole tournament. I'll also talk about why Rise has dropped Aviv. We have some very serious accusations going on there. And I want to talk about our GOAT Benji Vishy winning his first major tournament in Valorant. There's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about my tournament. Now, I planned this a few weeks ago. I didn't think scrims were going to be so good in this summer break. I assumed with like 2.5 weeks of no tournaments, pros would be fully switched off. They wouldn't be locked in. There'd be nothing. And I kind of planned this as like a, a pre-FNCS. Get some practice for the guys and see how they're doing right before FNCS starts in a few days. But the scrims have actually been really good for the last couple weeks. So these games were insanely stacked and they were really, really fun to watch. Now, I will mention before we even start talking about this, Peterbot could not play. We got a statement from Ritual saying that Peterbot has gone back home and will not be practicing or playing at all until FNCS. Now, I tried to get some information from Ritual and ask if this includes the Eval Cup, which is taking place tomorrow as of you guys watching this video. So the first major tournament back from the summer break, and Ritual doesn't even know if he's playing this with Peterbot. And this is 2 days out from FNCS starting. So this is a little bit concerning. Again, I know it is a summer break, but Pete did just go on quite a long break coming into this. Pete said he was back, he was grinding, he's locked in. Now he's gone back home. So I'm hoping everything's all good with Peterbot. To be fair, if he comes back fully locked in, mentally refreshed, ready for FNCS, it's going to be amazing for him. So this doesn't have to be a bad thing. There are a lot of people concerned that Pete is taking another break yet again. But if that's what he needs to get his mental right before FNCS, play-ins is not going to be crazy stressful. Groups should be hopefully pretty easy unless Pete and Poyo get in the same group, which would just be ridiculous. But even then, I still think they'd make it through to Grand. So there is still a little while before the tournaments really kick off. But after such a long break and FNCS now only a couple days away, I think a lot of Peterbot fans really wanted to see them locked in and grinding. So there was no Peterbot playing this tournament, but we had pretty much every single other major team on NA, and I want to go through how everyone ended up. In first place, you probably already guessed it, when you see Peterbot's not playing, your eyes should go to Poyo, Ages, and Acorn to bring it home. They came first place on 245 points. Now, the format was actually pretty placement heavy, but elims were still worth a fair bit. It was 65 points for a win. Each elim is 2, so it's kind of like an opens cup format. I didn't want to make it like 4 points per kill like Grands or 3, because at the same time, this isn't Grands. The pros would have W-keyed a little bit too heavy, and trust me, there was already a lot of fights breaking down, which I'll talk about in a little bit with Clix's team, and it was spicy. But Poyo, Ages, and Acorn brought it home. They got a 12 elim win, a 14 elim fourth, a 9 elim second. I thought they had the tournament in the bag. 3 absolutely insane games in a row. And then in game number 4, they got a 0 elim 14th. Team started to play really aggressive in game number 4. They ran into Curve's team, ended up going down to Acorn just being a solo. Acorn tried to rotate back in, ended up getting keyed by Clix's team, who was in second place going into that last game. And that is when things started to break down. We had the 4th game and it was up for grabs, but Clix's team needed about a 70-point game on top of Acorn to be able to close it out and win the tournament, and unfortunately, they weren't able to do so. They got a 9 elim 5th in their last game, which just wasn't enough to do it after their 17 elim win in game number 3. You're probably wondering, how with 2 such good games did Clix's team not win the tournament? They didn't even come second. It's because they had a 4 elim 20th in game number 1, and this is where things got a little bit spicy. You've been watching any of Clix's content, you know what's been happening. Basically, I'll summarize as best as I can. Clix's team has now gone to more of a traditional surge trading meta. They are trading a lot more surge out of Supernova rather than keying people as much as what they were at the start of the season. They were playing very aggressive at the start of the season. They were using the launcher and just obviously rotating before the launcher was added from Supernova to key towards brutal boxcars. They were getting the Spire and they were playing a lot more aggressive in the mid game, but that started to not be as consistent as what they liked. So now they've had to adapt to more of a traditional surge trading meta. Now, Clix's team was giving Reet's team a lot of a hard time for trading so much with Muzz's team, saying it's not fair. They hate surge trading. Blood X, their coach, being extremely vocally negative towards how Reet and Muzz were playing. And again, you know, understandably, I get why people dislike surge trade, but we've had that conversation a million times. Fortnite is not fixing surge trading. Every single team is doing it. Whether you love it or hate it, you pretty much have to embrace it is the meta. It's the most consistent way to get surge. It is the best way to do the best you can in Fortnite tournaments. So I'm not hating on any team doing it. That is what Reet and Muzz were trying to say. They weren't colluding, they weren't teaming, didn't have prior communication. One drops of flooded frogs, one drops over the resistance base. They're the two closest teams to each other with a ridiculous amount of excess meds. They're gonna trade, just like teams do from these two POIs on every region. But Clix's team not too happy about this. Now, Clix's team was looking to try to get in on the trading at flooded frogs with Reet's team, but Reet's team stopped trading with them. They stopped peeking them as much. They didn't actually start getting a lot of damage on them, which has now led Clix's team to W keying Reet. Clix's team saying, well, all right, if we can't get our surge at range, if you guys aren't going to peek us, we're just going to have to push you. And that's led to some very aggressive fights inside flooded frogs, which Muzz's team has started to third party. Now, some of these fights, I understand where Clix's team is coming from, saying that they're suspicious about how Muzz's team has been pushing into the fights, and it seems like they're only targeting Clix's team rather than Cooper's team. Now, I watched a lot of these clips back. I don't think they're as suspicious as what Clix and BloodX are potentially making out them to be. It's very hard to understand what's going on with Clix's stream sometimes because BloodX, Eomzo, and Higgs's comms are muted. I'm only hearing it from Clix's POV, but there were a few fights where from Clix's POV, I fully understand why they looked a bit suspicious. In a fight, you can think that teams, you know, aren't fighting each other at all. They're only shooting you. But when we went back out and watched in replays, there were a few moments where I definitely understand where Clix is coming from. A few moments for 3-2-1s where, you know, Muzz's team could have got an opening onto Cooper's team and held and didn't take a shot because no one knew they were there yet. And then they jumped on Clix's team when they were a duo. But I think a lot of that can just be explained as normal strategic choices. There's nothing I've seen that's going to make me come out now and be like, Cooper and Muzz are teaming. I hate these guys. It is worth mentioning, I'm very close with Cooper and Muzz's team, but I'm also very close with Clix's team as well. I'm trying to be unbiased here. I'm not seeing too much that's crazy suspicious, but I am seeing enough to understand why Clix is getting suspicious. But things started to break down, things started to get spicy. Clix started playing very aggressive in the mid game, and that basically made Reet make a bunch of posts on Twitter. We had a bunch of people tweeting. We had Sphinx tweeting as well. He has since deleted his tweets as well. It started to all kick off all over the Aussie Cup, and then Reet started keying Clix as much as they could in the mid game, and this is how Clix handled it when he finally got a chance to fight Reet away from flooded frogs.
Box footer.
Nope. Clix was feeling it enough to even hit the IRL emote. My man started emoting IRL on Reet. Now, it made for super fun mid-game fights, and it's worth pointing out when Clix's team takes these mid-game fights and they're straight 3v3s, they perform very, very well, which is why, as I understand, the Clix would be getting frustrated with the way it's going down, because a lot of the times they'll be taking a fight with Reet, it'll stall out a little bit, Muzz's team will push, and Clix's team ends up going down. So I definitely understand the frustration, because when Clix's team is just taking a straight 3v3 in the mid-game, they look extremely solid. And again, that's how they know they want to play their Fortnite, but they have to adapt to more of a surge trading meta. So it is a messy situation. I'm trying not to pull sides here. If you guys want to go back and watch any of Clix's VODs where he's breaking down the clips of him, you know, going through Muzz and Cooper taking their fights, please be my guest. I'll even link the VOD down below in the description if you guys are going to watch it from yourself. You don't have to take my opinion for it, but it's leading to some crazy fights, and it has a big ramifications for FNCS in grand finals. Now, in a grand finals lobby, I don't think Clix's team will be W king as much and running people down. It's just not as consistent of a strategy, especially in a grand finals. I think right now, a lot of teams are just posturing for their positions, trying to condition the teams around them, and this is pretty standard stuff you see right before FNCS. I think there is another level of frustration because there has been so many weeks of no tournaments. I think the community's feeling this as well. There's a lot of drama going around on the timeline right now with a few topics that definitely deserve a lot of drama because they are insane. I'll be talking about, you know, Rise splitting with Aviv in a second. It's all been a little bit crazy, but I do think right now, if you feel like, you know, everyone's on edge, everyone's been a little bit toxic, it's all going down, it's because it kind of is. If you're new to the Fortnite competitive scene, or if you haven't paid attention in the past, anytime we have a large break in tournaments like this, everyone gets a little bit salty. I can't blame them. People get bored, and when they get bored, they get angry, which is super understandable. I think once FNCS kicks off, we have tournaments back, the vibes are back to being good, and a lot of these teams' beef that's going on right now will continue throughout FNCS. Once it comes to grand finals, though, that is where it's going to get really spicy. I do also want to give a big shout out to Rapid, Kanata, and Bolts, who came second place. They got 227 points, actually overtaking Clix in that last game with a 15 elim seconds. They got a 6 elim 5th, 6 elim 2nd, 5 elim 13th. That game let them down. And then a 15 elim 2nd. Insane consistency from them. And then rounding out the top 6, which was for the money, we had Vert, Taki, and Ishu doing really well again, getting a 2nd, 1st, and a 4th. Then we had Possessed, Liam, and Magma, who got a 3rd, 7th, 5th, and 13th. One of those games, their 5th place actually doing it the entire game as a duo. And then we had Void, Broken, and King on Expo to round out the top 6 for the money. All right, now we have to talk about what is going on with Rise and why he has dropped Aviv. So Rise tweeted out, looking for one with G Money for FNCS, still landing Outpost. We aren't a part of this external drama and we don't condone it. Now, you guys know I try to avoid drama on my channel at all costs. I've, thought about whether I was going to talk about this topic at all, but I feel like if I don't at least present it in a YouTube video, a lot of you guys will be upset that you just think I'm avoiding the topic altogether. Now, to make it fair for all parties involved, I'm going to link both statements in the description down below. You have Curve's tweet of his original statement and what he is accused Aviv of doing, and then I've now linked Aviv's tweet as well down there where you can get his side of the story and his follow-up. I am not going to go through both statements and do a blow-by-blow of he said this happened, this happened. It is all ridiculous. This is definitely going to involve police and lawyers, so not only is it way above me, I also just don't think I am in the position to make statements and try to talk about what is going on here, because it is just genuinely ridiculous. You can go read the statements and get yourself educated if you want to. I will try to avoid it as always. I don't want to show favoritism to either side here as well, because there's more information coming out, and again, this is going to have to be handled by actual police and law enforcement who can get the full scope of exactly what's happened. So if you guys want to read the statements and educate yourself, go for it. I'm sorry that I'm not talking about it in more depth if you wanted me to, but I think you guys understand with my stance on this, this is just way above me. I am a Fortnite YouTuber. It should never ever be this serious, and I think everyone can agree about that. Now, on to lighter news. We have Benji Fishy winning an international Valorant tournament, his first major Valorant win. Now, I know Oz is a Fortnite news channel, but we got to follow the goats of the esport when they move on and do other crazy things, and Benji Fishy winning the Esports World Cup Valorant Championship with his Team Heretics is awesome to see. It was a ridiculous finals. Even if you guys don't watch Valorant, they came back from being 2 maps down, losing one of them 13-1 to hit the reverse sweep and win the tournament. And we even got an interview with Benji Fishy at the end where he referenced his Fortnite career and how much this win means to him.
It's like a dream, mate. I'm not gonna lie. It's like I worked so hard for this. I'm not gonna lie. Like this, I didn't play that great this finals, but I don't care, to be honest. I'm just so happy that after this whole time, because I'd never won anything big. The biggest win I had was a DreamHack online tournament in Fortnite. That was the biggest win I've had. I've never won a major in anything after 7 years. So yeah, this kind of makes it feel all worth it. And yeah, it still hasn't kind of sunk in. Maybe tomorrow or in a few days when I'm back home or back in Berlin, it'll feel real, but yeah, I can't explain it.
It is honestly pretty insane to think that Benji Fishy didn't actually win a major tournament in Fortnite. Like, I don't realize, again, with all the achievements that he had, I guess because Season X, he won so many of the weekly weeks, and he did mention how he then ended up winning the online DreamHack, and he had some insane performances, double qualified at World Cup, some insane pop-offs, but he never actually got that major win, which he now finally has in Valorant, which has been awesome to see. This isn't Benji's first big achievement in Valorant. If you haven't been following his, progression into the esport, he made 2 international LAN finals before this in a row with Team Heretics, became 2nd in both of them, so you can tell why this win would have meant so much to him. And again, I know it's not a Fortnite thing, but I really do love Benji, and I love to see him absolutely popping off and doing the Fortnite fans proud in an entirely different esport.